Hey, I'm Jenny.
And I'm Hillary, and you can call us
The Garden Tarts.
You know, kissing lips and breaking hearts.
We have been bestest friends for over 25 years, and we love to talk U2.
We've had some super ridiculous adventures, and now this podcast, which is pretty much all opinion with a handful of facts thrown in.
Why a U2 podcast? Because as much as we love talking U2, we know you do too.
So sit down, grab a drink, and find us on Instagram and Twitter so we can chat. Okay, we're talking about U2's first studio album, Boy. It's a good album.
Yeah.
It's pretty great. It was actually recorded from July to September of 1980, which is nuts because think about how long it takes to make albums these days. I mean, July to September, nuts.
Takes approximately 5 years now.
Something like that. It topped at number 52 on the UK charts and 63 in the US, which actually surprised me a little bit. And it was the number 63 in the US seems to have been attributed mostly to college radio. Is there college radio anymore? I don't think so.
Yeah, there is. We have college radio stations here. Yeah. I just don't know how popular they are.
Yeah. Well, so the band's name was Feedback for 18 months before they became the Hype, and then U2 when prior to Boy. Those are my fun facts.
Those are wonderful fun facts.
Yeah.
Should we talk about the songs on the album?
Yeah. Oh, it was released October 1980. So think about that again. July starting the album to release in October. It just blows my mind because I mean the album's now. That blows my mind. But
anyway, so they finished it in September and had it ready for release in October.
Yeah, but I guess you know the time and money and age and everything buy you years to work on an album instead of
this is true
months.
You know what else though? They were playing a lot of these songs live already.
Right. So I mean, they
weren't new.
They weren't completely written in that time, but still to record an album, still that seems pretty fast to me. But I guess when it's your first album, you don't get a choice. Whoever's paying the bill. It was recorded at Windmill Lane Studios in Dublin.
Yes. Where we have been.
Yes, and it was produced by Steve Lillywhite. That's an important thing because I think it would have taken them a little bit longer to get as recognized if it weren't for a genius producer like Steve Lillywhite.
Yes, I can concur on that.
Yes. Okay.
Absolutely.
So song by song.
Song by song.
What's the first song, Jenny?
Oh, well, let me check my handy references. The first song is a little known tune called I Will Follow.
It's a good little ditty.
Have you heard of it?
I think I have, yeah.
Maybe. Fun fact, it is one of these songs I have heard the most times live.
Then I would guess that's the same for me.
Yeah. I love that they bring it back so often. It was the first single off the album, and I do not have any statistics about how well it did. But obviously it did well enough to keep the album going on the radio to release more singles.
Yeah.
I love this song so much. And I don't think it was really until I heard it live a few times that it like fell into like one of my favorite live songs to hear.
I agree with that. My brother Will, who rarely gives any sort of U2 compliment, says it's his favorite live song aside from Sunny Bloody Sunny because he likes drums. But we went to see 360 in Charlottesville, and he was like, "Oh my God, I can't wait! I'm so excited to hear I Will Follow." And I'm just like, "Wah, wah." Sorry, buddy. There wouldn't I Will Follow. I knew that wasn't coming on the tour at least. But
almost any other tour.
I know, right? He's heard it plenty, but that was just he just said it like right away. He said his favorite part is just watching people like bounce.
Yeah. It's so crazy because the song, like, I mean, so many of the songs are so multi-dimensional and like what they're actually about.
Yeah.
But we all, if you're listening to this, you probably know that Bono's mom passed away when he was a young teen. And this song and many that follow are about that time period. But to think about the people jumping around and having so much fun during the song.
And my note on here is, I hope we can say bad words on here, but
Yes.
to me, this song is a mindfuck because it's like the music and the lyrics just do not match.
They don't match.
Which is fine because I like peppy and I like deep. But when you think about, and I like sitting in my car, I'm just like, and then you start thinking about what the lyrics are, which is just torturous.
I know. But so Bono has said something, I've heard him say this a handful of times, that's like what makes a pop song so good is when you can mix those emotions. Like when it's not just like one, it's not all joy or all sadness or this or that it's a mix of it. And I don't know, it's pretty amazing at such a young age that they're able to.
It is, but it's also like I listen to it and then I listen to newer albums and I listen to Songs of Innocence, and it's crazy because I guess when you have a loss that young, it kind of puts you in a state of arrested development, if you may.
Yes, you may.
which suits a job in our rock and roll band pretty well.
Yep.
Yeah. So, and again, one of my other notes was that it's kind of compartmentalized. That when I hear it live, I don't think of the sorrow and pain in the song because it's just so bouncy.
I know, right?
Yeah.
And they sure as heck enjoy playing it. That's for sure. Sure seems like a fun one to sing and play.
Just because it really does. It's such a, I don't know. It makes me happy, that song, to hear it live at least. But the other thing is, and this is a theme that I know I'll touch on throughout the album, but that a few things is that this album is not mixed and not overly produced, which, I mean, I don't think that's always a bad thing, but I don't think U2's had anything like that since Achtung Baby. Everything is just, everything's so produced these days and so mixed. Again, which is why they have to, take months in the studio to finish an album, because there's a whole lot more than, a bass guitar, a electric guitar and drums and a singer these days. It's a whole lot more.
Oh, yeah, like the perfection aspect is.
Yeah.
Like there's not, I remember, and we'll talk about that coming like down the road, but I remember when we first heard Songs of Innocence, we were like, this is so squeaky clean sound wise. Yeah. Like where's the proverbial edge?
Right.
Obviously he's there.
The other thing with that though is we're listening a cleaner edit than the original album. I mean, ours is the one I'm listening to is remastered.
Yes, and
the one I've been listening to in reference for this podcast is remastered. So, yeah, and I remember with the Beatles albums before those were remastered, you could hear people talking in the background and stuff. It was so messy, and we're talking about this as it being, so like raw, and we're still hearing the remastered one.
Right. I listened to both actually. Some of the remastered stuff, I was like, that just sounds, it's not what I, grew up with listening to them. So
no, but on the remaster, there is a version of I Will Follow that is so fast.
Yes.
Like I can't even imagine. There's no way they could play that live. It's like as fast as I Will Follow is. This is like in like supersonic mode. Okay, my other thing, and this I guess is just for the whole album too, but that we have to remember, like we're, at least I started listening to U2 when they were well into their career and were adults and had been doing this for a few years. This is written by children.
Yeah.
Children. No one in this, when they were recording this, I guess Bono and Adam were the oldest at 20, but the songs have been around for a while. So when you think about these are literal children that wrote these lyrics and wrote this music, and it just, to me, seems like, how is that even possible? That, when I was that age, I couldn't do any. I couldn't even have my crap together to get to a studio on time. Right. Probably. Not that I do now either, but anyway.
As I was listening to the album to prepare for this, and because of course I've listened to this album like 1,000 times.
Yeah.
But I've never done it with the intent of talking about it.
Right.
So it was a really different listen in the lyrics and stuff. And I just kept thinking, like, I have never been a teenage boy going through any of this.
No.
Like, I don't understand
the
majority of this. Like,
no, and that's the other thing and I think that this is something that also, I didn't write this down, but it just kind of is coming to me. But the rage in a teenage boy is just not something that I could ever.
No.
When I was a teenager, I was angry about stuff, but I don't think that I dropped you. I don't think that. Are you okay, Jenny?
I'm okay. So, friends and fans, what you don't know is that we are not together. So we are simultaneously recording this while FaceTiming so we can actually talk. And she friggin' dropped me on the floor.
I don't want to see her stealing. Are you okay, Jenny?
I'm okay. To get an ice pack.
I'm sorry. It was a pretty big fall. I thought I had my cord long enough to.
It's okay.
Whatever. Okay, so the rage and the other kind of thing about that is Bono just sang about that in Love Is Bigger, that the rage in you is strong, like talking to his son. But then I just read that little article with Noel Gallagher about Bono's son's band Inhaler, and he said that they started off pretty angry and now they've come down a little bit from that. And that to me is just mind-blowing, because I hear 4 angry boys, basically.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But anyway, I just thought that was interesting, because you're right, that's not something we could ever understand.
No.
That.
And we've never been through, well, maybe it's different now, a violent country. I guess as teenagers, we weren't living in a violent country. And we both still have our parents. And
we've had pretty, the lives that, the life that Bono had at 14 was more than we've ever known anyway.
Ever.
So
it is
ever.
Yeah. So
in our 40s, FYI, that's how old we are, if you don't know what's up. I Googled U2 Boy and Rolling Stone magazine, see if there was anything that kind of, any quotes or anything that just kind of jumped out at me. And I found this little, I guess it's like a blog review kind of thing that Bono did in Rolling Stone within the past 10 years or so, I think. And it's interesting. He says that his exact quote is, "You can have everything, the songs, the production, the face, the attitude, but still not have it." And then he said, "U2 had nothing but it."
Yeah.
And so my response to that is kind of, if you build it, they will come. So, that's totally backwards of any sort of reasonable way to start a band.
Oh, absolutely. Usually you look good and that's why you start a band, or you sound good and that's why you start a band.
Right. But I just thought that was really very profound in a way only Bono could be.
Right.
That profound. But I thought that was fascinating. And it kind of, when you talk about it kind of makes me, I don't know, go kind of in the way of discussing punk and where they stood in, the punk timeline. And I talked to my brother about this a little bit, and he had some really good insight too. But it, I call them post-punk, And that's how I've always described U2. They're post-punk. It was like they were in this weird punk bubble where they couldn't, I guess, quite get in there, and then fought it, but then just finally gave up and kind of went with it. And I Will Follow is like a perfect example of that. So when I discussed it with my brother, he was like, hipster millennial friends that he has will go out and get on the dance floor for Joy Division and Gang of Four, but they can't get around I Will Follow because it's U2. And I was just kind of unfair, but my brother also had really deep insight that that's kind of the perfect example of what happens when you don't die young.
Right. Yeah.
Because you keep making music and you keep evolving, and that's not popular, especially in punk. So, I think I thought that was really, really, really profound. And I thank my brother Jeremy for discussing that with me. But, and it also is, I think Bono kind of touched on that, when he said in the lyric from Hold Me, Thrill Me, Kiss Me, Kill Me, that they want their money back if you're alive at 33. Like, it's just not, like society just does not embrace a aging band that keeps or that tries to stay relevant.
It's so true. They like, the quote, like, to burn out or to fade away, like the punk rocker, like, yeah, they either like died young or they like went out in flames, or like a fight, like a literal fight, and the band just disbanded probably on stage. I agree. Like, I think of them as post-punk too, but so heavily influenced by it because punk was still going on. And I truly believe they tried a bit to be punk, maybe even in just like their looks, like trying. I read something funny somewhere about Bono showing up at school one day as like the first punk kid at school with crazy tight pants and a leather jacket and like something stringing from his nose to his ear. Just like, I mean,
stop there.
There's no more that I've ever read, but it's like the attitude was there. Oh, and he said something else about people like punk was seen as something like on the surface. It was like the rebellion was, in your spiked hair and your piercings or your clothing or this or that. But it was so much more of, you could look the part, but if it wasn't in your attitude, which was just more rebellion than anything, then it wasn't punk. So in the rebellious way, on the north side of Dublin, they were punk in that way, but their music, they learned pretty quickly that they couldn't conform to something. They had to follow their it, I guess.
Right. But maybe follow their it. But maybe they.
I feel like this is so deep. This is
maybe though, and I have, this is interesting too. Though I just thought of this. I feel like they really thought that they were on the frontier of punk, because I think that the north side of Dublin has always been about 10 years behind the rest of the world. So maybe what they just didn't know it was post-punk yet. I'm maybe being right. They just didn't know that it was over, that punk was done.
It had left Ireland and like shipped off to London long ago. And they were like, let's try this new thing.
Yeah, we invented punk. Because we haven't heard it yet, because we're on the north side of Dublin where, we don't get good radio signals.
Oh my gosh.
There are urchins running in the street, and we don't even know if we should drink the water.
Yeah, don't drink the water.
No, don't drink the water.
There's blood in the water. Wrong band.
Something. Right.
I'm really glad that I feel like we were going into some pretty deep music critic like pretentious waters, and I'm glad that we
that we jumped out of that.
Yes. Well, I mean, how deep can you get when you're talking about the north side?
I don't know.
And this is just us inside joke that I don't see any need to go to the north side of Dublin except to go to the airport.
I know.
It's just a little questionable over there.
To buy.
But the south side
Or to buy
is
stamps.
just really, yes. the south side is just nice and clean.
You can't buy stamps on the south side.
Right. Right. And there's kind of a famous post office there on the south side too.
On the north side, is there a famous post office on the south side?
Yeah, in the GPO on the.
It's on the north side.
South side. Oh, I got turned around then. Never mind.
It's on the north side. I was like, wait, there's another one. Yeah, that's on the north side.
Well, that makes sense that it would be on the north side. For some reason, I thought it was on the south side, but I could be wrong.
It's all good.
I don't know my. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just there.
Yeah, I know, right?
I went and bought you stamps.
Yeah, I took a nap. Thank you.
It was all good.
Yeah.
I can't wait to talk about that. That's many episodes away.
Yeah. Okay. Are we gonna wrap up?
I think because we could talk.
I think I've gotten everything. But who's to say later I won't come up with something else and we'll just visit it again.
Exactly.
So the next track is Twilight. So Twilight, I think, is creepy. I think that's a creepy song about men following boys, an old man trying to walk the narrator home.
But is it literal or is it?
I don't know. I didn't read that much about it. I did though. What they say in the book here was that it's about, I don't know, but they were misinterpreted to think that it was, people misinterpreted to think that it was homosexual.
Oh,
and
like this whole album was like the homosexual community's theme song.
Yeah.
They were like, finally someone's singing about us.
Right. Which is, not the case.
Yeah.
But this particular song just creeps me out. I mean, I certainly hope that wasn't a common occurrence, that old men tried to walk Bono home. I don't know. I feel like that would be a whole other album.
Yeah. So I take it as like the whole, like the thought of someone like walking home, like beside from that line, like the whole in the shadow boy meets man.
Yeah.
I feel like is a very, to me, that's a very much like a Bonoism of finding yourself in the different parts of life.
So I
don't take it so literally.
I kind of take that a little bit differently. Like, I mean, I get what you're saying about different parts, but not really of life. I just think there's I don't know. I mean, I'm reading it too literally, but it just sounds like all kinds of pedophilia kind of stuff.
Yeah, but Edge has an awesome solo.
Absolutely awesome. Let's just Also, I have a list of songs, which there are more that I'll get to another time, but I have a list of songs that I think that if Bono was ever gonna have a residency in Vegas, like a lounge solo act, this song would be really good. I mean, I get the I can see that with you have like a beret and
a beret.
A beret
and a cigar.
Cigar, something like that. Maybe not a beret, maybe like I don't know, but there's definitely a hat. There definitely needs to be.
And some kind of scarf, I'm sure.
A cravat. Oh God, let's change the subject.
Yeah, can we get out of that?
I don't want that in my head.
Oh my gosh, maybe we should just go on. Can we get through the next song?
Yeah.
Because the next song is not my favorite, let alone to talk about.
No, and I started off with my little synopsis. So there's a cat and a bird. The cat lures the bird to play with it and then kills it and then sleeps beside it. That's all you got to know. Moving on.
Moving on.
Nothing to see here.
So I never given this song really a second thought, because it's just like, it's a little too dark and arty and off key for me. Like, there's something about the tone and the key it's in that I just doesn't move me to want to know it. So I think we both found in doing our research about it that it's about sex, and in a way that maybe we just don't want to feel the we'll talk about.
No. But I mean, I kind of feel like maybe you should say that.
Okay.
No. Yeah, it is, and reading about the song, and I do think it's important. I don't like to think about my, the guys in the band are my uncles, and I don't like to think about them in any sort of
promiscuous
way, but apparently this absolutely is a song about sex. There's not like reading between the lines or anything. It's just flat out that someone in the band cheated on his girlfriend, or they were on a break and he felt bad about it. But
you just can't even like say who it is.
It's Bono. I was just protecting his innocence.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
And just for note, we're very crude people. We don't.
Oh yeah.
We don't mind the sex talk. It's just funny when you're talking about people.
Oh yeah.
Like your uncle, like you said.
Right. If we were talking about somebody else having sex or something, we can totally do that. It's just, you don't want to think of parental figures.
And it just shocked me because I never thought about it.
Never thought about it.
I was like, wait,
never,
what?
ever.
And then I read it and I was
no,
like, yeah.
Listening to, right, exactly. Oh,
that.
Got it.
Yeah.
Now,
okay.
Yeah. But so, okay, about this song, I do like it. And it's just so haunting, and I feel like it would be really good. It would be good for a soundtrack, some really gory murder scene in a movie.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, you hear it and the music's just deep and dark.
Oh, it's amazing. When I say that, like, it just doesn't do anything for me, that's just like a personal preference. I think it's a amazing song.
Yeah.
And then the transition, how it transitions into the next song, is just gorgeous.
Yeah, well, it is, but this was one of my notes, but I'm like, okay, the guitar, do we even say that the song was Uncut Dub? Do we say that?
Oh!
To introduce the song?
We were so traumatized.
It is the third track,
Uncut Dub,
which means the Black Cat. Okay, so we are not good at this, Jenny.
That's the beauty of it all.
It is. It's art.
It's art.
If you don't know what it is, it must be
art.
Yeah. So what I said was the guitar. It's just so complex and creepy. My comment was, "What dark layer of hell was Edge born into at such a young age to learn how to coax maniacal out of a guitar?" Because that's what it sounds like.
To coax maniacal out of a guitar. I feel like that's very profound.
That's when you're supposed to laugh at me because I sound pretentious.
Hey, that's pretentious.
I know it, right? I'm ashamed that I said it, but I kind of feel like it's yeah. And then my next comment was that's
you can't even.
I wrote myself a note and I said that just made me sound like a dude. Okay.
I think it sounded very profound and like music critic-y in a douchey kind of way.
Well, I mean, that's what they're supposed to sound like.
Yeah,
which is fine because I read everything they say. So yeah. Okay, Into the Heart is
the next tune. It transitions, but it's like it's all one track, kind of. I mean,
well, it's not if you
on the CD.
If you hit next, but if you listen to it, there's no break.
Right. And I think they did that, if I remember correctly, they did that on the album because that's just what they did in concert. They liked how it flowed together.
Yeah.
In their shows.
Yeah.
Is that right?
I believe so.
So it just made sense to do that on the album. It's so amazing to me that these songs are just like next to each other though, because Into the Heart is just it's beautiful.
Beautiful.
It's so beautiful. And I'm so glad that I've paid more attention to it this time, because I don't think I ever really realized.
Yeah.
It's so like slow and controlled, and kind of such a, I don't know, talking about like going into the heart of a child, like going back to like a happy place.
Right.
Which I don't know, that could be seen as good, like as happy or sad. On like one hand, it's like if life sucks and you have to do that, it stinks that you have to like step back, but also to have that option,
right,
to think back to happier times and more innocent times. It's kind of a nice thing.
It is, and I mean they obviously revisit that theme on future albums as well. One of the things that I read about is that Bono was talking about how they didn't really care about lyrics. It wasn't, the words were, it wasn't on the agenda.
Yes.
And that, you know, they just say like, hang on a minute and let me figure this out or whatever. But that, which again is mind blowing to me because the lyrics are so good.
Right?
Like, yeah.
Like the fact that, I mean, I guess that was just that was like the punk thing of the times. Like the music or the lyrics, just the music was important. Foremost. The lyrics were always.
Yeah. But it just, I think about, there's some documentary about Bob Dylan, and they ask him like, you know, what he would like to be described as, and he's like, I'm a musician, and whoever was interviewing him was like, but what? He's like, yeah, I like to think of myself firstly as a musician and then a lyricist. And dude, he won a Nobel Prize for literature.
I was gonna say, I think of him as a poet. Like,
he is a poet, and in the same as Bono, but like I think though Bono is now aware of his gift of songwriting, where maybe Bob Dylan, I hope Bob Dylan doesn't think of himself as a vocalist, because
that is not true.
That is not true.
Orate his words in a song-like fashion.
Yes.
But he's not known for his pipes.
Yeah.
His operatic.
His range. Yeah. Another thing about Boy in general is Bono's voice. And at different times, I listen and I'm like, man, who told him he could sing? And like, nobody. No one told him he could sing. But I mean, he obviously has worked on it a whole lot. But to me, it's just it's interesting because almost all of these songs are in such, and I don't know anything about music, but from what I hear, it sounds like it's a whole lot more of a lower octave than he's comfortable singing.
Right.
Like it's like he's struggling to sing as low as they wrote the songs in, at least on Boy, I think. I mean, maybe I don't know anything about, I really don't know, not maybe, I don't know anything about music, but that's what I hear. Like he's trying to make his voice deeper. But then I remember in an interview with him years and years ago where he said in the early stuff he thought he sounded like an old British lady singing.
Yeah.
I get British because I definitely, for whatever reason, he decided to scrap his Irish accent, at least on Boy, and adopt a British accent, which soon, you know, he scrapped all that, but altogether. But anyway, that's mine.
Well, he said, I remember him saying something about hearing Joey Ramone sing, and then he was like, oh my gosh, it's okay for us to sing like girls. Like, or something. I mean, I don't know what the exact quote is at all, but like, oh, it's okay. Like,
but like, you know, and when I was a kid, and this is interesting because when I was a kid, I kind of took the Ramones as like a fake band. Like, I know this sounds nuts, but it just seemed like they were mocking other bands.
Yeah, I can totally see that. Yeah.
But I mean, that wasn't the case, because I mean, they were the forerunners of that, but just I was coming from, you know, a later time, and to me it looked like they were like like the Monkees and the Beatles or kind of like that, you know, like it just seemed like they were mocking
Right. No, I can
a band, but
totally
it's
agree.
interesting. Yeah, it's interesting to me though that anyway, there, you know, Bono talks about the Ramones all the time, but I get that with the voice. But who told Joey Ramone that he could sing? No one.
No one.
The same people that told Bono he could sing.
No
are
one.
the people. No one.
Apparently worked very well for both of them.
Yeah, it works. Yeah,
it really works well for both of them.
Hey there, listeners. If you're a U2 fan, you are more than likely aware of the work that Bono has done and continues to do in Africa. It's amazing work, and the exciting thing is you can get involved too. There are 2 simple ways. 1. Go to one.org and sign up to fight against extreme poverty. 2. Visit red.org to shop. What? Shopping helps? It sure does. By purchasing Red branded products, you are contributing to the Global Fund, which supports HIV/AIDS grants in many African countries. As your man says, where you live should not decide whether you live or whether you die. So head on over to one.org and red.org to join the Garden Tarts in doing our part to end AIDS.
Okay, so the next track is Out of Control.
Out of Control. I continually forget how much I like this song. Like, head over heels, love this song. And it was fun. I went through the songs and like I went on the database online to see like how often I've heard some of these songs, because I think of that as one that I've heard a bunch and I haven't. It's always I Will Follow.
Right.
This one was like 7 times I've heard.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't have mine pulled up, but that sounds like a really low number.
So it's not
7 out of. Go ahead and say how many shows you've been to.
7 out of 50.
Yeah.
And so hindsight, I've heard I Will Follow 37 times. So
is the number 1 song Pride?
Probably.
It was Where the Streets Have No Name, but
then the Joshua Tree tour happened. No, and then and then after and then there has not been Pride or Street since then.
No,
it's probably is Pride. I'd have to pull it up.
I mean, mine. I lost like whatever after the second Experience and Innocence show. I think Pride took the.
Yeah.
There. I mean, I think there may be like 2 shows I didn't hear Pride. I could not remember what they were for anything, but
right.
Because I never remember not hearing.
I might look real quick. It's just now I want to know what the number 1 is. But Out of Control. Oh my gosh. When I think about how much I love hearing I Will Follow, and then I hear Out of Control, and I'm like, no, this is like my number 1 song on this album. Absolutely.
Oh, absolutely. It's in my top 10. Probably, definitely in my top 10 of all time. It's, I mean, there's no doubt in my mind that this is my favorite song.
And if we can go back to like the juxtaposition there, that like the 2 things. So Out of Control, Bono wrote it. He woke up on his morning of his 18th birthday and realized that there are 2 things in life that you have no control over, and that's when you live and when you die. And the song is written in this joyous way in my mind that as if like this is actually kind of freeing. Like, why worry about it?
Right.
But holy shit, he was really worrying about it.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, this is not actually a good thing.
No,
it's
one day I'll die. One day I'll die. The choice will not be mine. Will it be too late? You can't fight fate. That's just so. That is not the word. Those aren't the words of an 18-year-old.
No.
It's someone far beyond their age. Fun fact, though, the lyric is Monday morning, 18 years of dawning.
Yeah.
I looked it up because for some reason I like to prove things wrong. And the morning of Bono's 18th birthday was a Wednesday. Not a Monday.
Yeah. Poetic license.
I know.
Do I get to laugh at you now for being pretentious?
Yeah. Right? Right. But I feel like, I mean, he's never one for facts. Early morning, April 4.
Yeah.
But Wednesday definitely does not sound as good as Monday.
Morning.
So for art's sake, I give him that.
It's okay. Yeah, I'll forgive him. I'll forgive him for that one.
Yeah.
We might have to send a memo.
Okay, we should send a memo.
We'll send a memo.
I looked it up a couple times too in case like maybe somewhere I had it wrong or whatever, but I think I asked Alexa.
Oh,
and she said
she's very smart.
She is very smart.
Did you just turn on Amazon devices across the country?
Oh no.
Anything you want to buy?
We should put a warning, don't listen to this without headphones if you're around her
who shall not be named. Side note, Pride in One are tied for 49 times.
Really?
So there's one show that I did not hear Pride and one show I did not hear One.
I wonder what those shows were.
I don't know. One day I'll find out.
Will it be too late?
There were times during Innocence and Experience that One was not always played, I think.
No.
And I did not see a lot of those shows, and I remember the first one I saw I really liked that song. So I was really excited that they played it. So my guess is that it was during that tour. I'll have to look.
I feel like and I'm not gonna, for the sake of a podcast, I think I've said everything I need to say about Out of Control, but I feel like I could write a book about it to no end. And before we go into, do you have any more to say about about I Will Follow before we move on?
Or Out of Control?
I mean, that's what I meant. You know what I meant.
I know what you mean. I just thought maybe I'd correct you since that's the job.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Really pretentious, but okay, so this is something else that really, when I growing up in the 80s and the 90s, I listened to everything that's ever said about rock and roll. I was just obsessed with anything rock and roll. I read every page of Rolling Stone, and all of the people that I was referring to earlier as being pretentious all talk about a concept album. It was like this myth. At the time, in the 80s and 90s, there weren't a whole lot of concept albums. A concept album being like a cohesive theme that goes throughout the album. And I mean, the classics, obviously, of those are The Wall and Ziggy Stardust, Sgt. Pepper, and Tommy, which is obviously, to me, the big one. But in the 80s and 90s, that wasn't really a common thing. And no one, I heard people talk about YouTube over and over and over again. Especially, as a kid, anything that said U2, I read it. And I'm sorry, but Boy is like the most concept album I could ever think of all the way through.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, to me, it really, I mean, they get there. I guess you can look at a lot of their albums as being close, but whatever, Bono says this is going to be a pop album. This is not a pop album. This is going to be a techno album. This is not they go into these themes and they don't hold on, straight guitar. This is going to be a heavy guitar album or whatever. And they get pretty close, but I don't buy, Joshua Tree, I think probably people think of that as a concept album, but I don't, because I think we know those songs as being rooted in the US and, rooted in, the desert and all that. But if you really listen to the words, almost none of the songs actually talk about that theme at all.
Yeah, it's like the music is inspired by
but
by
it's
those
not
things, but it's not lyrically.
No, and I think that and the next one that I think Songs of Innocence is absolutely a concept album as well. I don't really think that Songs of Experience is, which there's nothing wrong with that, but I think the only two straight up concept albums that U2 have had are Boy and Songs of Innocence. But I mean, obviously the theme, the cohesive concept of Boy is boy. Is youth, male youth, and that's 100% solidly a concept where I don't know, but I used to hear people on the radio all the time talking about that whatever, the death of the concept album, and no one ever mentioned that Boy was a concept album, which kind of then brings us into our next song, which is called
please real quick, like that's like so simple but also like so profound. I'm really happy to have heard that theory. Like I feel like that's really cool. And I want to go with on that is that Bono has said that before they had any of those songs written down, they already knew the album was going to be called Boy.
That really is a concept album.
Like they already knew the name of the album was always called Boy.
Right.
Even before they were in the recording studio. But I guess they had the songs.
Right. I never, no, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I know, but still, I'd never just pieced that together. I like that. Right. Thank you for sharing.
Oh, no problem. I always, I mean, like after this, like, I think, and I don't know the album all that well, but people have since Boy, obviously, since, you know, in the 90s, there were more concept albums. Like, off the top of my head, I think Smashing Pumpkins, Melancholy and the Infinite Sadness, I think that's a concept album. Yeah. I mean, I don't know the album forwards and backwards, but I remember hearing it the first time and saying, oh my God, this is a concept album. I don't think concept albums are at all necessary. I just think that it's interesting that they exist, but that also there really was a good 20 years or so where just no one did that.
Right.
Or anyone that got on the charts that I was able to hear.
Right.
No one did that. Though Soul Cages.
Oh.
That's a concept album.
Yeah.
I think
Stings. For those who don't know, that's a Sting album.
Yeah, I guess it is.
I'd have to go listen to it again.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that one day.
Okay.
I think that is, but I don't know. I could think about this forever, but it's basically just every song has to do with a common thread.
Yeah. And teenage boy.
Anyway, that's my I spent a whole page, by the way.
That's amazing.
Of talking about the concept album because I'm
now I understand why you had so many notes.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, what are you writing?
I know.
But you had a nice segue into the next song.
Yes.
Which is
I even wrote it. Enter Stories for Boys.
Oh, and I interrupted it.
I did like stage notes. I did blocking. Okay. The next song is Stories for Boys. Would you like to start that?
I have 4 bullet points about this song.
You have what?
4 bullet points about this song.
Okay.
Which I'm saying is just not a lot. Because it is a song that I love. I really like it, but I just can't grasp it. I have written down that it is a classic. I have written down that my interpretation is that this is like all things like to escape into. So it's like, I wish I had the lyrics in front of me, but it's like literally like whether it's comic books or this or that, it's like things that boys can escape into to maybe like step out of how hard life is at that time. This is another song that was seen as a gay anthem, very much so by the gay community. The fun fact, Paul McGuinness, their longtime manager, was convinced that it was a song about masturbation. So I guess you can escape into that too.
Oh.
I don't know. I mean, hearing him say that, I could read the lyrics and be like, I don't know. I think it's a stretch. But then again, I was never a teenage boy.
No. No. This though. So I came up.
I just don't have a lot to say.
No, but so this is the thing. Again, I wonder. I can't imagine, but you know, when these songs were written in 1980, I can't imagine that Bono thought that he would still be singing these songs, like, you know, as a older gentleman, instead of being a boy. as an old man instead of being a boy. Like, I really like, I think off the microphone, we discussed this recently, that's a question I would love to ask him. Like, if you told 1980 Bono that he would be 58, 59 years old and still singing the songs from being
18.
a teenager,
yeah,
what would he? I don't know that that's something that could even be comprehensible.
guesses it, he would say yes.
Yeah, I think he would too, because I mean, that was somebody asked him, it was a picture of him from being a kid, and someone asked him, what would you say to that version of you? And his response was, you're right. Like, all the things that you think that you want, you're right. Like, you're doing everything right. Like, everything's right.
Yeah.
But that said, I think that's a little different than, I don't know. I mean, there's also an interview I read with Edge from, I think around, oh, you know what? I think it's in Bill Flanagan's book, At the End of the World. And he said, Edge said, I think we have a good 10 years left in us.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I mean,
and that was like early 90s.
Yeah, that ship sailed. So I thought that was really interesting. So I don't know, but I can't imagine. I mean, I read too much of this stuff, but I also read an interview with Mick Jagger, who said, I'll tell you one thing, as a kid, he was like, I'll tell you one thing, I'm not going to be doing this when I'm 60 years old. And he's like pushing 80.
Right?
Yeah. So he was wrong.
He was wrong. Yeah.
I love this song. I do. I actually love this song. But, I don't know. The lyrics to me just sound kind of smart and dumb at the same time. But, like, I think that's, again, a youth thing. Like,
they just weren't important.
Yeah, they weren't. But I love Bono and Edge's harmonizing.
Oh, yeah.
And the bass, which I don't think I know I don't give Adam enough credit for, like, holding what he does, because most of the time together. The what?
Like holding the melody together, like he tends to.
Right, exactly. I don't know, but I sometimes have a hard time hearing bass. Yeah. Like, I feel like I don't know. It just, I mean, obviously it's the heart of the song, but I still sometimes have a hard time pulling out a bass line or something. Again, I know nothing about music.
I feel like it's so integral and such the foundation that it's just there. It's like,
it's there.
It's what you know. Yeah. Like, I thought, what?
This is another thing that if you listen, I thought this is another technology thing, but I listen to this song with headphones on, like, over and over and over. And it sounds to me like it was recorded, like, in a live room instead of, like, tracks.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
And I don't know if that's accurate or not, or if I'm using the wrong terminology, but when you listen to the song, it sounds like the drums are further away.
Oh, I'll have to listen again.
Yeah, than everything else. And again, when you have these, super mixed albums, you don't hear any of that, because everything is on its own track.
Right.
So you can raise the volume of one or the other. But this is the only, I don't know, and I might be using the wrong techie terms, but to me it just sounds like they're in one room recording, and that's that. There's not, it's not tracks, it's not, people in different areas, because it just sounds like the drums are far back from everything else.
Right. I'll have to listen. Oh gosh. Oh, so when I hear this song, the picture I have in my head is there's a video, like a music video for this song. Mm-hmm. And Bono's like, his little, like, moppy hair is, like, bouncing around. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I just see this cute little boy, like, with a big smile on his face, singing, like, probably some really fucked up lyrics. Like, I don't know.
Right.
Well, should we segue into the next song?
I think we should.
Which is The Ocean. So I hadn't listened to this that I can remember on headphones, since you mentioned that, in a while. And maybe I feel like this is something I should have noticed before, but I hadn't noticed the, like, creaking boats in the background and, like, the seaside sounds before. I just hadn't paid attention to that.
I don't know that I've noticed that.
Yeah, listen to it on headphones. You can, like, hear that, like, creaking of, like, a wooden boat, or maybe like a dock or something. It's a nice little touch.
Yeah.
I guess they used to open their shows with this song.
I love this song, and I
Yeah.
loved seeing it I love that they played it live for E&I. It was just a good transition.
Right.
Well, so again, me being whatever, when I heard this song, I was, again, much younger and not very well read, and hearing this song made me want to read The Picture of Dorian Gray, because that's what's mentioned in the lyric of the song. And I'm like, I'm gonna be, smart and artsy like Bono, and I'm gonna read the book. And like years and years later, I listened to the song and I'm like, I read that book. I'm like, the only thing, where I wanted to be smart and artsy like Bono is as an adult. I look back at the song and I'm like, man, we were both pretentious.
Right? It is such a pretentious song. That line, what is it? It's like, I've written down, it's I felt the world would go far if they just listened to what I say. Like, it's such an egotistical but also very teenage line, teenage line. And I remember reading him saying about that line that, it's pretty ballsy of him to say it, because everyone's thinking it about themselves.
Right.
Like, it's not like he's the only one with such a thought. Because I'm sure we all remember some point as a teenager, you'd be like, why not? Like, I've got all the best ideas, or like, just listen to me.
Right.
That can change the world. When they're like, you're just a teenager.
Exactly. No, that's really profound, Jenny. So the guitar in the song is just blows my mind. I just feel like it's so well developed. Was this the one that
with the echo machine?
No, that's A Day Without Me.
That's coming up. Yeah.
Yeah.
At some point that changes.
Yeah. But the guitar in the ocean, it's just, I don't know, mesmerizing to me. And again, the edge was, far beyond.
It's like
years with that.
It's like he heard all these sounds in his head and he figured out how to create them.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it's weird. It's like having another singer in the band. Like, it's not like his guitar doesn't actually carry the melody of the songs. He's just making more music. Like, it's amazing.
It is. And again, I feel pretentious for saying this, but it's the Thunder Road lyric, Springsteen, where he says, I got this guitar and I learned how to make it talk.
Yeah.
I mean, I think all good guitar players make I like it, at least when they make their guitar into another entity of the band entirely, aside from like the music it's making.
Right. Absolutely. Instead of being like the chords that like are like the melody of the song or something. Like, it's amazing.
Okay, so I'm gonna be honest with you here that I don't have any more notes, so I'm winging the rest of it.
Okay.
So I doubt I'll come up with anything.
You don't have any more pretentious things for me to laugh at?
Probably not.
Okay. Well, should we go on to A Day Without Me?
Yes.
I hadn't really like read up much on this song until I was preparing for this. So I was always like, dude, if my friends started, like, I hope they were checking up on him. Like, because the song's about, if I killed myself, would anyone miss me?
Right.
And it turns out this was an experience that one of Bono's friends or their friends was having. So it's written about someone else. So I was like, phew.
Right.
Because I'm like, I think that's a pretty big cry for help. If that's.
Yeah, I would think so.
But again, it's like this poppy, peppy melody about like youth suicide. Like, would y'all notice if I was dead?
Right.
That, mixing all these different emotions into this happy poppy song is just blows my mind.
I think one of Bono's greatest lyrics is the start of this song, starting a landslide in my ego. I love that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that may be personal too.
Yeah. No,
that goes for both.
Absolutely. But I mean, I think it's, before I read up on, obviously it was a song about not being around. Before I read up about it, I didn't really understand. get the whole, vibe of it. But I mean, I think that's a natural kind of, take out the suicide part. I think it's a natural question to wonder, like a day without me. Like, I think that, in the back of your mind, everybody, wants to know who's going to be at their funeral kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah. It's nice to be able to, it would be nice to know what people think of you without not being there, I guess. I think that's what I've gotten from, I don't know, that's my take on the song. Obviously it's about suicide, but that's, if you could, there could be a day without you, but you could still see what was going on.
Right.
That'd be okay.
That'd be really interesting.
It would really hurt my feelings.
I know, right? I don't know if I would take that up or not.
I don't think I would. I hate you guys.
Or like they just don't even realize. Like, oh
no,
she's not here. I didn't realize.
Did you notice? I didn't even know.
Wow. Oh, you were gone? Oh.
Right.
I don't have much else to say about that one.
I don't either.
Like it. I like it too.
I like
the tune and I like the poppiness of it.
Yeah.
It's an enjoyable song. Another Time, Another Place is the next track, and I have a hard time wrapping my head around this one. I just can't. I read about it, I listened to it, I read the lyrics, and I'm like, I really like this song, and I'll listen to it for all of time, but I don't actually have anything to say about it.
No, and I don't really either, except that when I play it, it stays in my head for a really long time. Oh,
absolutely.
Yeah, it's a good song. I don't really, it's not a standout song on the album by any means.
Yeah.
But no, I think I would really like to actually hear more what the song is based in, but I don't know.
There seems to be like speculation and a little bit like there's not a lot of information about it, and maybe there just isn't a lot to be said about it. I mean lyrically anyway, like maybe it's one of those songs that just kind of had a title and then the words filled in otherwise.
Yeah,
I don't know. Here it's argued that it's merely self-indulgent romantic stuff, so maybe I don't know. We'll have to keep listening.
Yeah,
maybe people can fill us in.
Yeah, that would be really great. Yeah. If you have some insight, then if you a direct line to Bono or something, just ring them up and ask them we can conference call.
Yeah, for sure. You've got that new FaceTime where we can like have multiple people.
Right.
Yeah, we'll conference. There we go.
It could happen. Everything.
Maybe we could have like a Google Hangout.
We could do that.
Yeah.
So I'm reading as we're discussing, but the lyric, I'll be with you now, and we lie on a cloud from another time, another place.
Yeah.
That, his muse has been always, most of the time, his wife. And so that might be her first
maybe
shout out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I don't know. That's a theory right there.
Interesting.
Okay. Up next, the Electrico.
Oh, I love this song.
I do too. I love it a lot.
It is like literally electric. It's so great. And I had such a kick learning about it because again, this was not one that I just really took this one at face value. It's just a really fun live song. And never really dove into it. But learning about, in Dublin, they had this thing called electroconversion therapy. And people would like literally, it was like people who were thought were crazy, they would be sent to this place and like cured through electricity or something. And I guess they were well aware of this going on and wrote a little ditty about it.
I had no idea that's what, for as many times as I heard that song, I didn't know that's what that was about.
Yeah.
Crazy. But I guess shock therapy was a big thing.
It's like pre-Prozac.
Yeah. I don't know. I love this song.
Oh, me too.
And again, had no idea what it was about. And the interesting thing is, again, hearing it now, like, dude, you're still singing about it.
Right?
Yeah. I had no idea. I've heard this song 8 million times. And before I read that, I had no idea what it was about.
Me neither. Again, I just never, like, I was so glad that we were doing this and learning more about things.
Yeah.
It was really interesting. Absolutely.
Okay, so the next song is Shadows and Tall Trees.
I'll pass off to you because I think that you have things to say.
I do, and I don't
Yeah.
have anything written down. This is off the cuff.
Yeah.
But so when I read this when I was a junior in high school, at the same time, I'd already been a U2 fan, but I was really like jumping off the deep end, kind of.
Yeah.
At this point, like I was just diehard, and it's a chapter in Lord of the Flies, which, again, talk about a concept. I mean, there's nothing more boy than Lord of the Flies, but I just remember like that sounds familiar, and then like realizing, of course, that's what Shadows and Tall Trees. That's what that comes from. It's a chapter in Lord of the Flies. You know, I see Bono and his gang very much so Lord of the Flies, like just kind of.
Oh, absolutely. That their group they called the Lipton Village.
Yeah. But just like urchins and, you know.
Yeah, like they weren't going to grow up. They were going to stay boys. Yeah. And you know what? They've done it.
Right. They have, but they've also maintained, you know, they're not entirely grown up.
That's what I mean. They've remained boys. Like they
have
at certain levels of their
right. I hear what
they're
you're
kind
saying.
of like systemic youth.
Yeah.
Going around somewhat responsibly in an adult world.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. But yeah, I mean, but I also feel like in that same regard, I feel like because, you know, I follow them around and do this stuff all the time. Yeah. It's also given me a pass on actually growing up too.
Oh,
which
absolutely.
Is nice. Yeah, but no, I love Shadows and Tall Trees. I mean, it's not the best song on the album, but it just kind of has a special place in my heart because I love that book.
Oh, for sure. And then, I mean, just musically, I mean, it's a great ending to this otherwise pretty big album. And when it's really like, it's drum heavy, like it's not drum heavy, like heavy drums, but I feel like Larry gets to shine in it in a bit.
Yeah. But it also is another one of those songs that it almost sounds like a demo.
Yeah.
Like it's when you listen to it, it does not sound finished, which generally I don't like that. I don't like the songs that sound like that. But early on, they were finished. They just didn't use the technology that they use to now.
And when we hear things now that are like demos and unfinished, we're like, well, that's not great. But we took these were on an album and we took them as they were because we knew they were finished finished for the album anyway.
Right. That's the last song of the album.
It sure is.
I have something else to say about Anghat Dove.
Okay.
That I just totally, I think I started going there and I don't know, I interrupted myself or something, but I got sidetracked. But that song is just so multifaceted. But one of the things that kind of pisses me off about it is that it sounds like the she cat.
Yeah.
Because that's the lyric. She cat. The she cat did the praying in this situation. Pray, not pray. Which that's very in U2 stuff. It's usually the other pray with the A.
Yes.
With the E.
Right.
But I kind of have a problem. Like, I'm not trying to get all feminist here because I am, but I also do think that U2 are for the most part too. But to me, it's like, I'm sorry, but if you've sex with someone that maybe it wasn't a good idea at the time, dude, it's not her fault just because you regretted it after. And like, to me, when I hear the song, I think of the she cat being like the predator.
Right.
And then I read, and Bono says, well, maybe he was the she cat in that story, but it just kind of struck me as, just because it was a bad idea in the first place and you regret it doesn't mean that it was the other person's fault. Like, there wasn't any misdoings there. And I don't know, but it just, to me, it just sounds like, I don't know, there's just something in that bothers me. Like, I mean, I'm sure he very willingly went off with the she cat.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's my take on that. But it just a little bit rubs me the wrong way because, you know, just because, I mean, he was with someone that he didn't end up with or whatever, and it was a mistake, but that's not the cat's fault.
Right. I guess I just don't go there with it. I just see it as
Yeah,
is what it is.
I dug too deeper than I should have.
That's okay. And then sometimes when we go there, it's hard to come back.
Right. But to me, I don't know, there's something that when he says, you know, she cat, it just kind of, I don't know. I don't like it. Yeah. I don't like that. That said, it's a good song.
Yeah.
I have a little issue with, but you know, it's no excuse, but boys. There's no excuse for that, but you know, you have to think about boys that were, you know, trying to fling around their masculinity and everything as boys. And to me, I don't know. I guess
I hear that side.
There is an excuse for that attitude, just not in today's society.
Right. I hear that. Yes. Yeah. I guess I just didn't. I just saw, like, in my head, it's just teenagers and horny and emotions.
Yeah, but so the other thing, and when they talk about that, it being a, you know, like the album is like a homosexual anthem or whatever it was in Dublin. But I mean, I think that the times have changed so much that, like, if that happened today, they'd be like, yeah, okay, that's great.
Yeah, right.
I just think that, you know, again, when you're a young boy and you know, your masculinity or whatever is your
defining characteristic.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And your most prized possession, then, you know, I guess that could be daunting if that's not the way you wanted to go with that. But, and I think that's the only thing that stopped me from, like, they mention that over and over again. And I think that kind of, you know, just the times that have changed, that stopped that from being almost offensive to me, because
it seems like in hindsight it cracks them up.
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, why not? It's a good album. I take it from anyone that would want to make that into an anthem album. I'd take it.
Yeah, right?
Yep.
Absolutely.
Okay. We did it.
We did it. We talked all about boy.
All about boy.
And we hope that y'all listened all the way through.
We really do.
And come find us online. We are on Instagram and Twitter. I think both it's _Garden Tart. Is that the both? Is it the same on both? I'm looking. On Instagram, we are for sure the _Garden Tarts, and same with Twitter.
Okay. So find us and tell your friends that we're funny and not too pretentious.
And if we are, we can laugh about it.
Yeah.
This will be more fun when, like, there's more conversation.
I agree with that.
There's so many different interpretations, and I mean, like, the band probably has, like, they know maybe what's going on, but to hear how it affects other people and like, they know what's going on. But anyway,
right, they don't know what's
going on. I don't know. I think it'd be fun to have a conversation. And we'll be back next time talking about, are you surprised what it might be? Are you on the edge of your seats?
It's October. You might want to give it a listen before.
Oh, I need to listen to October.
Before we get there, because we're gonna.
Yeah, right? Probably a bunch of times.
And this is, maybe we should have said this at the beginning.
Yeah.
Our background.
Yeah.
We did say we're crazy U2 fans, but I guess that's all we needed to say.
Also, we love hearing from people and chatting with people, and of course, we love talking U2. So you can drop us a line on Instagram or Twitter at _Garden Tarts, or you can even email us at wearethegardentarts@gmail.com. We look forward to hearing from you soon. If you enjoy this podcast, we would love it if you would share it with your other U2 loving friends, as well as leave a review for us on whatever platform you use to listen to podcasts. We would really, really love that. May your music be loud and your whiskey be strong. Until next time, cheers.